Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're going to be doing a little preview of a Kickstarter. It should be coming out today,
A very
October
little.
4th.
Yes, October 4th. And this is, you're right, a very little preview.
It is a very little preview.
It could fit in your pocket. Pocketbook Adventures from Grumpy Spider Games.
Yes, we actually we got a prototype copy of it, of the game, and they are the ones that made Rucksack, which was...
We also did a preview of that one as well, so if you want to check that out and hear our thoughts on that.
I haven't checked. I wonder if they have a website with that on there, but if they do, we'll link all that below. We'll link the Kickstarter page to this one below, and definitely, depending on what you think of our thoughts, or either way, if it sounds interesting to you, go definitely check it out. But right off the bat, as you can say, like you said, it's a smaller game, a pocket game.
I mean, you can't see my pocket, but it can fit right in there.
Yes, and it's just from the start, when I heard of it, it sounded like one of those types of games that you'd maybe bring with you.
And
if
it
you
stands up on its own.
It stands up on its own. It's displaying itself. Seems like one of those games you could play in either like a car or a plane or kind of in any time where you might have a break or something. You can easily bring it along with you, and then it's also a shorter. Well, I guess it can kind of be however long you sort of want it to be.
Yeah, just however many rounds you want to play, missions.
Right, and each one is relatively short, so it kind of gives you just kind of something to do if you want to pass the time. It's definitely it seemed like one of those games, and after trying it out a little bit, it definitely is one of those games.
Yeah, for sure. When I heard kind of that it was a little bit of a dungeon crawly type thing, but in your pocket and like really quick like that. And kind of the only other ones that I've done, the main one is Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, which definitely can't fit in your pocket, and even though it's the smaller version of Gloomhaven, and is still a couple hours long per scenario. So I was very interested in if they could actually deliver that kind of feel in that time.
Right. And then this one had kind of a little, I don't even know what you would call it.
Dexterity adjacent kind of...
I don't know why it makes me think it isn't, but it makes me think of like a blank and right game, but it's not really that, but that's kind of the one adjacent thing I kind of think of, but it's not really that. But it's so in the game, Pocketbook Adventure, your pencil is your kind of can be your weapon, is kind of your best friend,
pencil
your ally.
The sword there on the cover.
Yes, it's a very nice logo on the front cover of the. But it may be subject to change. This is just a prototype copy, so things in here may change. But what you'll do a lot of the time is it's kind of a grid mat on a certain page, and then you'll be kind of going a certain amount of distance going around the map. You have to kind of go in a straight line, at least for the ones we've played.
Yeah, we've played
so
through
far.
the first chapter, which was the grasslands. They kind of split by like different areas of the world that they've kind of built, I guess. So that probably was maybe like 8 games within that chapter. So we got through that. So that's our experience with the game so far. I think a good amount. I think we have a good feel for the game.
So then you got to kind of go in a straight line, and then if you hit a barrier, like either there's some elements that you could hit, otherwise kind of the outer edges of the map, it kind of gets you going in a different direction possibly then. And then you're going around picking up various loot and killing some baddies.
Yes, yeah.
And that brings up some interesting things when you're killing the baddies, or sometimes gaining certain loot in the game. You get to do some fun stuff.
You get to do some aiming, as it is called. So you usually go, when you're fighting a baddie, They have 3 different types of baddies each map that you go on, and they each have a section on a page. I guess I can kind of open it up here, and maybe you can overall kind of see what it is. So here's the map you'll be moving around with.
You can
the
take
grid.
a picture of, put it on the screen,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yep.
But yeah,
then they have like the 3 baddies, and they have a bar with a spot above them and a target below them. And when you fight them, you put your pencil on the spot on their bar, look away from the page, and pick up the pencil and try to hit the target. And right there, I hit in the outer ring, which is not the best, and would deal 2 damage to me. But I would still kill the baddie. And then there's an inner ring, which deals less damage, and the very inside bullseye deals no damage to you. But a really cool thing as well is they have these shaded areas in the rings, and that corresponds to the effect that that monster, an ability that it has. So in this case, the werewolf, if I'd hit his shaded ability, he would ignore weapon abilities. So any special weapon ability you would have no effect in that case. And each one has a different one, and that's just a really unique extra addition. And they kind of split them up just crazily on the target, so you're like, okay, I need to hit this specific spot. Try to remember it in your head as you're looking away and hitting that target. Something unique that I can't think of anything in any game that feels like that.
Right, yeah. It's very, very unique. Pencil pointing and stuff for sure, and then hitting and having a kind of a varied outcome depending on the where you hit on the circle. And yeah, it's interesting because I guess you could kind of say, like, depending on how those areas are split, it could be similar to, like, if you're pulling a random thing from a deck, percentage-wise.
Yeah.
The damage-wise, though, kind of with the multiple rings most of the time, I guess that would be a little more, like, consistent, but, it's kind of an interesting thing, and it really works. I really love the point and then look away and do it, for sure. It's very,
and
very
if you
unique.
miss the target completely, you just retry until you do it. So I could see that being something like, I've definitely missed the target completely a few times. So I'm glad you do get to retry, even if that means you're guaranteed possible negative effects.
Right.
So
Yeah.
But then, there's the same way for some things you hit on the map, like coin stacks or treasure chests. You can do that as well to a separate target. And that one's interesting because you go from your that location on the map. So it could depend on where you are. So it could be farther away from the target or closer. So you get to do a lot of aiming in there, which I like because I really enjoy that.
Yeah, because at least the ones we've done so far, I would say you could, if you wanted to, like, I think I just kind of go at it and just start going and then just kind of go from there. But if you really wanted to, kind of the base of the game, you probably could plan your route ahead of time so it is fun that adds a little bit of that kind of, if all of a sudden you start not hitting the target very well at all and start taking a lot of damage, you're like, okay, well, maybe now I have to change my route to go get some health, some hearts around the map. So it is nice that it keeps you from just being like, okay, I'll do this, and this. You might still be able to, but it stops you possibly from taking just a specific route that you planned from the very beginning. But I think this one can be played by, another good thing about it is it can be played by pretty much any age group. I think it's a very simple, most of the things are pretty simple to understand. There might be a couple things that might depend on how young. Might need a little help from an adult explaining some of the things, but overall, I think the fun part of it, of the hitting it with your pencil, I think can be done by anyone. So, I think that this hits exactly what it's trying to do, and it actually makes me interested a little bit. I think in like a bigger version of this game, maybe this game, or maybe just this mechanism type thing used in maybe a multiplayer setting, because this is kind of a solo game, I would
solo
say.
Game. Yep.
So you could probably share.
It
and
is
go,
a solo only.
it is a solo only game, but you could kind of go back and forth if you wanted. If you you and your spouse or friend or whatever, you could kind of go back and forth and do the missions or each map one at a time type thing. If you wanted to do it that way, but it is a solo only experience. But it does make me like think, I wonder how something like this would work with like a multiplayer experience, and maybe you're still maybe have a main map or something, and then you maybe have to like bring it back to your own player map for certain things. It just made me think of how that could be pretty cool.
I didn't think of that,
if that was done.
That'd be really interesting.
Right. So who knows? Maybe something like that would be in the future. But I think for what this is saying, it is Pocketbook Adventure. It definitely 100% feels like that and hits exactly what it's trying to do. And this is something that, like I said, on car rides or on airplanes or whatever, traveling, pretty much, you could just pull this out and easily do
just need the book and a pencil. It says that, and that's totally true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I could see this. I think this needs to be sold in like airports and stuff. I think that's where I could definitely see this one being a great thing to get. And
for sure. I think this is just like a great. This is a great gift for like anyone, especially, and even not that into games, like you said, and almost anyone I think can grasp this and get the hang of it. And it's got that unique pencil mechanism to draw in possible non-gamers as well. I really enjoyed this game a lot. It does give me that dungeon crawl feel in like 10 minutes in just a book and a pencil. It's crazy that they pulled it off so well, because I was thinking at first, I'm like, maybe it might be too simple, too much, but it's a very fun thing, especially I just really love the point and shoot. I don't know, that's not what, point and fight, or point and gain your loot. Point and loot. It's a great mechanism, and it works perfectly in something like this. So, I think that's kind of a preview, first initial thoughts after playing kind of through the first few scenarios for us. Definitely check out the Kickstarter if that sounds interesting to you. I didn't know. I think Rucksack was a solid one in our opinion as well. So, I think they're putting out some good stuff. So definitely at least give them the time of day to check them out, and for sure.
But otherwise, we hope to see you on our next video, and as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling
on our content.